what really happened was I gave up, and there was a lot of guilt with the giving up. And so when I felt that guilt for giving up my dream, like I didn't try to transfer schools, I didn't try and keep going. Then things happen in your personal life as well. So at the time I kind of got with the wrong people, and that's just where it happened. And I was using drugs to cope, as well. Say, I think anything that increases a person's productivity will create an urge, right? Because you like the person you're becoming. But is it physiologically addicting? I'm going to say no. I mean, there are catecholamines in there, which means that there are ingredients that will increase happy neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Venture Hustles podcast. This is Saj. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show. I've got
my name is Jack, and welcome. We have a special guest today.
We do. We have Mr. Neal Thakkar, CEO of Evolvere, a biohacking company, based out of New Jersey.
Yes, sir.
He's one of our first like health and fitness type of
guests
that we brought on, and we thought it'd be very interesting. Neal's a good speaker, and he just from the brands that he's building is very interesting and very exciting stuff. So we definitely want to hear more about that from you, and then we can kick it off.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for having me here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited to have some fun talk about startups, business, health, fitness, all the above.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, for
Heck
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think a good starting point might be, Neal, I guess, what's your story? Maybe tell us a little bit more about you, where you came from, where you're at now. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah, so I mean, the good thing is I've been into health and fitness my whole life. That's really all I know. I was a soccer player since I was like 6 years old. Nice. Played college soccer. Somewhere in between there, I was a Division I drug addict, so that ended up happening. So I got cut from my college soccer team. So the professional dream kind of died. A college kid walking around with no real identity, thinking you have no talents, no skills, anything like that. So you're lost, right?
Yeah.
So there came along drugs, overdosed, ended up in rehab. And I was like, okay, it's time to fix my life.
Get it together, right?
Yep.
How old were you?
I was 20 years old.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
20,
okay.
yeah. So I'm 29 now.
Okay.
So it's been 9 years since then.
Okay.
That's
awesome. First of all,
congratulations,
man. The consistency and sobriety. Since you've kind of like been sober and like clean from the drugs, like how many years has that been?
That's a good question. So now I do drink here and there.
That's fine. I'm talking purely drugs.
Many years. I haven't even counted, but give it like 4 or 5 years or so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, congrats, man.
Good for you, dude.
I appreciate that.
That's such like especially in today's age, like it's such a big like obstacle to get over, and not everyone can do it. So
you did that when you were basically in high school. Right? Like when you were
college?
It was college.
Okay.
Yeah.
And while you were playing soccer, you're like on the team?
So I was on the team. I got cut.
Because of that?
Actually, not because of that. I got injured. I couldn't get back. I think what really happened was I gave up, and there was a lot of guilt with the giving up. And so when I felt that guilt for giving up my dream, like I didn't try to transfer schools, I didn't try and keep going. Then things happen in your personal life as well. So at the time I kind of got with the wrong people, and that's just where it happened. And I was using drugs to cope. Right?
Is it like hard drugs?
It was. So my drug of choice was Adderall.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's actually why I made the products I've made, which are Nootropics, is as a safe alternative to Adderall.
Okay.
So that's really where it ties into my story, which is why it was one of the first things I brought up. But yes, Adderall was my drug of choice.
Okay. Did it gateway into other things or no?
It did. I used other things. Those other things didn't really wreak as much havoc on my life as the prescription pills.
Okay.
So it was Adderall, and then I overdosed actually on Xanax. I had a seizure.
Oh wow.
Excuse me. And so that's really essentially what the story was. So then you're in rehab and you're like, okay, I have a choice. I could either go back and do that, or I can transform my life.
Yeah.
And so that's where I got kind of obsessed with the idea of transformation.
Okay.
And that's what Evolvere is now, is I call it, it's a transformation company in the biohacking space. Right.
Interesting.
I like that.
So after that, I got into bodybuilding, ended up being nationally qualified bodybuilder, did the fitness model thing, which was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And as I saw myself transform physically, obviously, with my mindset and really committing to a process, I just decided that I wanted to bring that gift to the world.
Yeah.
So was a personal trainer. Half my check would go into building my business, half the check would go into building the business, and then 80-hour work weeks, and eventually quit being a personal trainer, and here we are. So
that's awesome, man. I mean, that's a really nice summary of like kind of like your initial journey. We'll dive into this a little bit more
for sure.
But well, yeah, I think we're happy everything kind of like worked out for the better for you, because that's always like a danger pass. I know a lot of people that it wasn't a good outcome like that. Like tragic outcome. So but but that's a really good story to hear.
Absolutely. I mean, so tell us more about now. What are you up to? What are you doing? Maybe tell us a little bit more about your company, maybe some of the products you guys sell. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
So we understand the inspiration behind Evolvere, right?
Yep.
Which is like how you were hooked onto Adderall and Xanax, and like what that was, and you wanted to have a safer alternative for people that maybe would be hooked onto this, right? That was clean, and non-habit forming, maybe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's like a common problem too, especially in college. Like Adderall, like we've all taken Adderall. I know. I mean, I've taken Adderall.
I never have, but I know a lot of people abuse the hell out of Adderall.
I mean, it's
to just focus.
An argument could be made that in the college space is kind of like normal.
But it's when let's say if you're out of college and you go into the workspace and someone that's hooked on Adderall, right, for let's say 4+ years, is it really like addictive like that, where it like kind of like bleeds into like you're like, oh man, I need this to like actually function and focus and work?
It's a good question. I think for many people, and this is once again more so a theory and observation than an actual fact, but I think for many people they're more addicted to who it makes them than the actual substance.
Wow.
Okay.
Now the substance is addicting because it's a dopaminergic compound, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I think for most people, it's when you reach that level of productivity, it's very easy to become addicted to that person,
right?
And then it's very scary to come off of it. Right.
Okay.
And so whereas people aren't necessarily going on benders the way I did, right? People are getting hooked, thinking that they need it more than they probably do.
So now, obviously, like I don't want to, I obviously don't want to talk about anything that you don't want to talk about, but like feel free to ignore. But like, how was your family like supportive through that process? Like when you were going through some of the darker moments, how was that? Yeah,
no, it's a great question. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. There was a lot less judgment than I think most people may deal with.
Good. That's
I also think like I just don't give a shit like what people think about me, and as I get older, that you develop that more and more.
Love that.
And so I'm like happy the whole thing happened, because like I am an open book about it, because I can tell the story. It's like, look, if you're addicted to something, like the most I guess type A alpha problem solving good thing you can do is solve your problem. Like own it, solve it.
Yep.
And I went to rehab for 3 months. It was outpatient, and obviously I had some relapses and blips here and there, but like I was good since then. So it was 3 months of my life to pull myself out of what could have been the rest of my life of hell, right?
For the rest of your life,
right?
Wow. All right.
I mean, good on you, man. I'm glad. Yeah, that's cool.
So I guess going back to the original question, I apologize for the little sidetrack.
I love it.
I guess tell us more about the company that you have now, what you guys do, and I'm all ears. So I'm very interested, and I can't wait to kind of talk about it.
For sure. So we are, like I said, we're a biohacking company.
Okay.
And so
what does that mean?
So biohacking is it's quite simple. It's this guy Dave Asprey. Okay. He is considered the godfather of biohacking. Okay. And he was a coder at first. And so basically for him is he said, let's come up with a systems first approach to changing your health instead of a symptoms first approach. So biohacking is essentially hacking your biology for optimal health. Okay. And then it just became this kind of big market that's been continually expanding.
Yeah. Okay.
And you see it very much so congruous with the tech community, because coders, hackers, right? And how do you go on an all-night coding binge and still maintain focus? And
it's crazy. That's what we do. So
right.
And we 2 peas in a pod.
Absolutely.
Hey, maybe we'll look into some of your products, but
Absolutely.
but right now we don't do anything artificial. We don't take any pills or any drugs. Thank God.
Vitamins. That's about it.
Yeah, just a lot of caffeine.
There you go. Caffeine's good.
Caffeine's a drug, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're a supplement company.
Okay.
We had actually a coaching arm to our business.
Uh-huh.
I sunsetted that at the beginning of this year.
Yep.
As
Nice.
the supplements were really starting to expand.
Okay.
But I do want to bring some form of learning, e-learning, whether it's courses or another form of coaching back into the business.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it's supplements only. We have I would say supplements and functional foods. We have 3 supplements on the market, and we have a coffee as well. The thing is, the coffee we recently took off the market just to fix the taste, but we're going to put it back on the market soon.
Nice.
Okay.
And,
So it's like a coffee pill.
no, so it's actually in K-cups.
Oh.
It's for metabolic function. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so like increases your metabolic rate?
Yep.
Like that's sick.
Yep.
What flavors you got? Or will you have?
So right now, just regular,
Just black?
just black right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that should help with like weight loss, no?
Yep.
That's one of the things that you're.
Yes.
Hey man, I'm already. We're gonna
Love
hit
it.
Neal up for some
Catalyst.
early sneak peeks
Be
into
a
the.
little beta tester there.
There you go.
Okay, so have the coffee, and then what are the other 3? So what are your main, I guess, products that you guys are doing now?
Yes. So Quantum Mind is our flagship. That is a nootropic supplement, which is a cognitive enhancement supplement.
Okay.
And then what I gave you guys was Quantum Mind Non-Stim, which is a non-caffeinated version of that.
Okay.
And then Quantum Mind Gold, which is a stronger version of that. And so Quantum Mind actually, we're the second biggest nootropic on TikTok right now in terms of TikTok ads.
Is that where you're primarily selling?
TikTok ads and Facebook ads?
Nice.
That's pretty cool. So wait, I have so many questions, dude.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I love it.
Hold on. Well, so first off, how do you manufacture and produce everything here in the States?
In the States, yes.
Okay. Like in New York, in Jersey,
In New Jersey.
like a factory or something.
It's a manufacturing plant, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm trying. I'm not familiar with this. You know.
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
so
Yeah.
now, I guess the packaging, the labeling, all that's basically being done in house, and then you're kind of like marketing this through viral marketing. I'm guessing, right? Now, do you have to go get FDA approved? Do you have to get some sort of like testing done?
Okay, so there's a lot of questions there. So as far as the packaging is concerned, that is done in California.
Okay.
We get our packaging, right? I have a designer on my team designs it, and we get the package from California.
Okay.
As far as the manufacturing is concerned, that's done in New Jersey, about
Okay.
30 minutes away from where I live, actually.
Oh, love
Okay.
that. Couldn't be any better.
Yeah, we had our old manufacturer in California.
Okay.
No, I had a coaching client of mine who he's a CFO, but
Okay.
he's like, you know what, I want a project for after I retire.
Yeah.
He had some space and he said, let me make a contract manufacturing.
Okay.
So it's basically as close to in-house as possible without being in-house
Yeah.
because
Nice.
that's built through relationships. So that's
Yeah.
cool. As far as FDA, so the manufacturer has to be CGMP certified.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the form of regulation. And then as far as the products are concerned, there's obviously parameters as far as like you can't put like 1,000 milligrams of caffeine.
Okay.
You have
you
to
have to
label
stay
it.
within the limits.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you have to kind of like do your due diligence of a U.S. based product or a statewide product that kind of has to comply with these policies to make sure you don't get in trouble, right? In case like there's some sort of legal ramification. I'm guessing like that's how that works, even if it's not quote unquote, let's say FDA approved.
Correct.
Okay.
So the FDA approves food and drugs,
Okay.
not supplements.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, like in GMC, right? If you go in, like a lot of those aren't FDA approved. Like
Oh, I
most
didn't
of
know
them
that. Yeah.
aren't.
Okay. What
Yeah,
do
I
you-
used to be in like the CBD industry,
Yep.
right? So like a lot of that I think like kind of applies, right? to
So
what,
those
like,
are
you're
not
doing.
like FDA approved, like
No.
some of the like the CBD shit that people like ingest.
CBD, I don't think so, right? And
Really?
then like pre-workout, no. Any
So
of the
no
supplements,
supplements?
no.
Like none of these things are FDA approved,
Nope.
and they don't have to be.
Correct.
Wow.
In fact,
That's-
they can't be. The FDA cannot approve something unless it's food or a drug. It's the Food and
so
Drug
you-
Administration.
And obviously you're ingesting it. No.
Yeah.
But
So
it's a supplement though.
so this is where I stand on that, right? Is
Okay.
it's amazing and horrible. It's horrible because any Joe Schmo can put a product out and can scam a bunch of people and potentially harm people.
Okay.
Right. But the great thing is that you can get solutions to health problems to market very quickly, right?
Okay.
And I do think people don't look at that, right? Because the one thing is like in my opinion, Adderall is a horrible drug, and it is way overprescribed. And the amount of people that have messaged me, texted me, left a review saying, "Hey, like I've come off Adderall because of your product," right? I think that's a great thing.
That's awesome.
Right?
Wow.
And it's a blend of herbs. That's the thing. It's a blend of...
So it's like natural?
It's all natural, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you talk about some of the ingredients of, let's say, your most highest popular selling product? Just so kind of we can get an idea.
For sure. So Quantumine is the flagship. That's a blend of 15 different ingredients that we've put together to create that blend. And so like for marketing purposes, I call it a neuro trifecta. And so there's really three main mechanisms that it affects. One is mitochondrial function. So there's a process called cellular respiration where your body creates ATP within cells, right? So our product has ingredients that help increase ATP production.
And ATP is like energy, right?
Energy.
All right, I'm going back to biology.
There you
I know
go.
I'm familiar with some of these
Right.
things. Okay, go ahead.
This is where the biohacking comes from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've heard that term so many times. Honestly, I've never really dived into it a little bit, but and it kind of makes sense. You're kind of like figuring out all the different things that works within your body, and then you're kind of finding supplements and things that combining different ingredients to make
The approach is
work around.
crazy.
It's so insane.
That's exactly what it is. It's very exploratory.
Yeah.
It's very experimental. But it's like I said, it's very like coders, right? Like they just kind of figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
So you named one of the ingredients, right? So the trifecta.
Yeah. So the first is a group of ingredients that helps increase cellular respiration.
Got it.
The next is a group of ingredients that helps lower cortisol and adrenal hormones.
Yep.
So helps with stress mitigation.
So can you name the ingredients, or
For
just
sure.
like can people even recognize it?
Yeah.
If they hear it. Oh, they can. Okay.
So I'll give an example. Like a cortisol mitigator would be ashwagandha. A lot of people have heard.
Oh, you got ashwagandha in your thing?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Look at that. Is that crazy?
Yes, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Wait, you never heard of ashwagandha?
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay. All right. What else?
So Panax ginseng. That's
I know ginseng is. What is Panax?
that's just a form of
Of
ginseng.
ginseng?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Because you have like Korean ginseng, American ginseng. Like,
Okay.
Right. So these are, for example, the adaptogens which help with that cortisol that I'm talking about, right?
Okay.
A few others, right? You have something called phosphatidylserine. This is something that will also help with lowering cortisol as well as various other functions, right?
Okay.
And then the third part of the neuro trifecta is a stimulant based. Helps increase dopamine levels, similar to what a stimulant based medication would do, but at such a much lower level.
So
right?
what's the primary ingredient for the stimulant based?
So phenylethylamine.
What is it?
Phenylethylamine
Phenylethylamine. Yeah.
and
I'm not even
caffeine.
gonna try to pronounce it. Okay.
Yeah, PEA. So PEA is released when, if you're looking into a girl's eyes who you fall in love with and that rush comes.
Okay.
That's called PEA. That's phenylethylamine.
Okay.
So you can put it in a powder and it's love in a powder. So
That's crazy. Now I got a question.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe you haven't I don't know if you've done like animal testing or whatever. I don't know if you tried to OD a goat, but can you OD off of what you have? Like, is there any? It's too much.
Sure, you can try because there's caffeine in it and stimulants. Like, I guess if you took like 60 capsules, you probably wouldn't be good for your heart. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we don't do
So,
that.
Just take the normal dose.
Yeah,
the
I'm trying to
recommended,
get an idea of, I guess, like, how crazy is it in comparison to like caffeine pills?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So what's the daily dose? Like 2 or 1
So I would start with 3 capsules
a day, or in one sitting, or you space
in
them out?
one serving.
Okay.
And that'll last you about like 6 to 8 hours.
Okay.
But what's cool is that as you take it over time, it also is good for long-term brain health, right?
Oh.
I got a question. What'd you go to school for again?
Economics and English and minors in psychology and American studies. So here's what happened. I was always on Adderall. So when I was picking my classes, I was just picking a bunch of random shit.
I was going to say, going from that, I get the health and fitness bridge, and then you have to get in shape to get your life back on track. I get that. And then, but building this, I get the inspiration, but you know quite a lot about this, right? But obviously, like, this is your brand. I guess you have to.
Yeah.
But like the different ingredients, the mechanism behind building this brand, it's a very interesting story, right? So I guess like I want to understand, like, when you're on Adderall, or Xanax? Were you like tripping out thinking about like what the components were, or like what was it? Were you always like fascinated with it? Like,
yeah, I've always been fascinated with altered states of consciousness.
Okay.
And I guess psychopharmacology was always something that interested me, like basically taking shit and feeling different.
So that's exactly what I'm saying. So when you were hooked on it, you were thinking about that, right? Like this was something, just the chemicals behind it, or just like why it put you in that obsessive state, correct?
Yeah, that's essentially correct, right? It's like whenever I was on Adderall and I'd be having my benders, like I wasn't partying. I was learning, reading, and
okay,
you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, so
Wow,
that makes sense. Because like from his, let's say his origin story perspective, like think about it, he didn't go to school for that. Like, and then kind of like going into health and fitness, and then building a supplement brand is different. But building like let's say a biohacking product that seems like very science based, right? It's got to be more of like a thirst story. That's pretty cool.
One of the main questions that I have is, compared to someone taking Adderall, how does your product, like, I guess, what are the similarities? What are the differences? I mean, would you mind kind of going into that?
Yeah, for sure. The single most notable first thing people will say about the product is mental clarity.
Okay.
Like there's like brain fog gets lifted, right? Whereas with Adderall gets you like tunnel vision focused, and that's because of dopamine modulation, basically, right? And so what happens is you basically fall in love with whatever's in front of you, right? So that's more of like this tunnel vision / euphoria with Adderall. Whereas with Quantum Mind, you'll get a mood uplift because there is the love chemical in there, but it's definitely less stimulatory than Adderall for sure, and provides more mental clarity. You could task switch more easily, right? Whereas with Adderall, you get like super locked in. Yeah. You know, if you're cleaning something and you want it to study, too bad. You're cleaning that thing, right? With Quantum Mind, you could task switch probably better. It's also just you're just not as wired.
Yeah.
Are there different like milligrams, or is it like milligram based, or is it just like one size fits all kind of thing?
It's a great question. So the way I have to label it is I just have to label it with one suggested serving, which is take 3 capsules, and then we write 4 hours.
You got to take 3 capsules at a time?
You should, right? And then you say 4 hours later, take another 3 capsules. Really, what I wish we could say is by weight, take 2 or take 3 or take 4 or take 5. I can't label it like that, so we just have a standard dosage of 3 capsules.
Wow, that is so. I'm like so like.
Wait, did you ever take Adderall back in school?
Yeah, I've had my fair share.
And did you like how you felt on it? Because like a
I mean,
prescription drug.
did I like it? No, but similar to what you had said, Neal, where it was like, I'm taking because I need to get X, Y, and Z done, and I need to lock in and do it.
And
whether it's an assignment. Yeah, I mean, I was never someone that was taking it like a lot, but there were definitely situations where I would take it because I needed to stay up to complete a task, right? So, I'm a person that's like typically like focused, but again, if I knew I had a late night in front of me, like I'm gonna see if I'm gonna take some Adderall probably, and I don't know, I'm very interested with like your product. It sounds like super cool, and it's obviously very natural too.
Yeah, the ingredients sound natural, which is good. Now, can you feel like, let's say I stop taking it, can I feel like do I feel the urge of like taking it, or is it gonna be habit forming, or like will I feel the urge to like keep? Can I not focus if I don't do it?
It's a good question. This is what I'll say. I think anything that increases a person's productivity will create an urge, right? Because you like the person you're becoming. But is it physiologically addicting? I'm gonna say no. I mean, there are catecholamines in there, which means that there are ingredients that will increase happy neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Okay. So I can't say that's not addicting, right? But like chocolate, and theoretically, is addicting too, if that makes sense.
Dude, caffeine is one of the worst drugs. We're addicted and hooked to caffeine every single day.
Yeah.
He's
like, speak for yourself.
I mean,
no, come on.
Caffeine.
I would just drink like a lot of like coffee, a lot of Red Bull.
That's all caffeine, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's just, that's the reality. Tea. Yeah. I've tried to do my best to get on like a tea, because just like, one, it's more caffeine. Yeah. But then number 2, it's like a little bit, healthier, let's say, than just like
then definitely take nootropics then.
Yeah.
Definitely take nootropics because you're getting different mechanisms rather than like with coffee. It's just the adenosine receptors, right? So that's masking tiredness, right? That's not actually really giving you true energy, even though it may feel like that.
Right.
Also, like with nootropics, they synergize with caffeine depending on which one you're taking.
Okay.
So for example, L-theanine, this is an amino acid in our product.
Okay.
That potentiates the effects of caffeine
Uh-huh.
while also providing like a more of a relaxing, not a sedating, but more of a relaxing effect.
Uh-huh.
So you get more out of the same dosage of caffeine. So if you take 150 milligrams of caffeine, but you have L-theanine with it, that's going to increase the potency of the caffeine, even though you're still only taking 150 milligrams.
Okay. Oh.
Right?
Okay,
So-
that's super cool. I have another question for you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, we're kind of just like
Let's
inside,
go.
just
Go.
I love it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I got questions for him, but like after you.
So
Let's go.
you mentioned you had like your main flagship. Now
Yep.
you also mentioned that one of them has caffeine, one of them doesn't have caffeine.
Yep.
Is there a particular reason for that? Like what kind of went into that?
Yeah, the market asked. So,
Okay.
we were advertising it as a replacement for Adderall.
Okay.
And so some people wanted something stronger because they're so used to the Adderall. And then
Okay.
a lot of people were saying, hey, I want to still drink my coffee.
Mhm.
So they
Right,
wanted.
I need an upkick.
Exactly.
Oh.
And so we just very recently, the past 3 months, released those other two versions. Excuse me. Quantum Mind was that was the main baby for from August 1st, 2018. So yeah.
We didn't even ask that. So you've been around for.
That was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask. Yeah. So how long have you? When did you start the company?
So August 1st, 2018 is what I say the official starting date is because that's when Quantum Mind came to market.
So
Okay.
4 years.
4 years. Yep.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so
And,
awesome.
and like, how's it going through the I guess the landscape, the pandemic? Because you kind of like started pretty early and then hit 2020.
Yeah.
Did that affect anything or?
For sure it did. So
Okay.
I had Quantum Mind.
Yep.
And then, as I've said, like we're an evolution, transformation, biohacking company. So I introduced a online coaching product for metabolism and fitness coaching as part of our overall brand.
Okay.
I grew that. So that did a little bit under $1 million in sales net for the coaching product.
Nice.
When I sunsetted it, like I said earlier this year, that was because Quantum Mind was taking off.
Okay.
So, like at the beginning of this year, Quantum Mind itself, just as its own product, was on a $6 million run rate.
That's awesome.
Way to go, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It really is. Go ahead.
Right. So we're definitely doing a lot less. What happened is we came in and we really just took TikTok over.
Okay.
TikTok got super competitive.
That's what, when you said TikTok, there's no way you were doing that when 2018 hit. Like when you started off.
No.
So TikTok's got to be like very new.
Very new.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's that doing?
Well, that was what accelerated Quantum Mind itself.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's the reason I cut the coaching out.
Got it.
Because I was like,
You
what?
identified a better option.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. It's just so much more scalable.
So is this like when people are basically seeing the ads, they kind of go to the product page and then buy it directly, and then you guys ship it?
Yeah,
That's
it's
just how it
a lot of direct response. But now, like, I'm really shifting my approach because I realize there's a cap with direct response marketing. I'm really shifting my approach to audience building, and I think that's what you guys saw was a lot of my content.
Yeah.
So I really just want to put out good content, like as much as possible.
Great, man.
Again,
Yeah,
man.
hopefully, I think we got a good summary of like kind of like your journey with this. I have a question, right? With somebody looking to start, you know what Venture Hustles and the brand is all about, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Entrepreneur. Thank you. Entrepreneurship and starting out, building out your own business,
Yeah.
no matter what industry you're in. How would somebody go about starting something like this? How much money would you need? Like initial capital? Where do you go? Who do you go to? Like, what can you drop us some insight on what somebody looking to build a supplement or health and fitness or a biohacking brand? What would be your advice, or like just some quick pointers on like, ideas?
Yeah, it's a great question. And first of all, I wish Venture Hustles existed when I was starting out. It's because I think it's pretty cool to have advice from founders.
Yeah.
To other founders.
Yeah.
Because I think I made every mistake in the book. I
Okay.
think I legitimately made every mistake in the book. First thing I would say is don't raise too early, but don't raise too late.
Mhm.
Like, so for example, like I'm still bootstrapped
Mhm.
and I wish I had raised venture capital a little bit earlier.
Did you raise venture capital?
No, I
Okay.
didn't. I didn't.
So everything is pretty much self-funded.
It's pretty much self-funded loans from,
Okay.
either friends and family or,
Yep.
or bank or
So
whatever.
either friends and family rounds or okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you the sole owner?
So I own 86% of the business. I have a COO. I have my dad is an investor. And
Okay,
then,
nice. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Cool. So I think that's a good tip. What you just said.
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, there's no perfect time to raise. It really comes. Also depends on the industry and the space that you're in.
Yeah.
When you're kind of building a brand like that, and if you're in your own separate niche and avenue, it's a completely different to something that we're doing.
Right.
Or Final Few Productions. We've been around since 2014. It's different, right? We never raised venture capital.
Right.
But my first startup we did. My second startup we did.
Right.
So like I could tell you that it's a different landscape, man. When you bring in VCs or angels in, it's a completely different landscape. If you do friends and family, it's different and a lot more controlled.
Right.
I've never done friends and family with FFP,
Right.
but I could tell you that you're a lot more sane and calm, right, as you go through the process, unless you've got crazy friends and family.
That's true. This is true. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's reel it back for a second. Oh, you got a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
man.
I feel like I'm like nerfing you. All right, you don't have a question.
No, you're good.
All right,
You're
cool.
good.
All right. Let's reel it back for a second.
Yeah.
So round figure, don't have to give an exact number on yours, right? But let's say just a rough example, just starting something out. Initial capital, what would you need?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I would. That's a tough question for me to answer. I would say
Rough estimate. What would
Range.
you
to
say?
You can do
bring.
range.
Okay, if you
Because you're
wanna-
not that like 2018 is not that far. That's what I'm
Right.
saying, right? We're still relatively in the same spectrum here,
Mhm.
right?
to bring your first product to market, to get some validation, right? To get product market fit, I would say if you're a first time founder, probably around 200,000.
Okay.
Right. I see. Like for me now, since I know how to do it,
Mhm.
I could do it for like $50,000 and get
Mhm.
like my email list to fund it and all that. But
But where's the bulk of that money going? Because
so-
200K is a lot if you're a first time founder in this particular space, right?
yeah,
So where would that go?
finding product market fit,
Okay. What does that mean?
meaning
In this particular industry, what is that exactly?
the right angle, right? Because we tried a few different angles with Quantum Mind, right? Increase
So are you talking about like the actual product itself, or are you talking about the target demo, or are you talking about marketing,
the
branding?
positioning, marketing, how you position the product in the marketplace, right? Because
Okay.
we tried the senior audience,
Yeah.
right? We
Oh.
tried the high performer, right? We tried.
So when you try, how are you doing this? Are you giving out free samples? Like what's the typical?
For me, like it was all like direct response.
Okay.
So getting a landing page, seeing how it resonates on these ad platforms,
Okay.
Okay.
right? And let me backtrack before we even go there. First, seeing if anybody likes your product,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Get the proof of concept.
Right. Get the proof of concept,
Mhm.
then make your first run.
Mm-hmm.
Most manufacturers are not going to do really below 5,000 units as an
Okay.
MOQ,
Mhm.
right? And so there's that expense. And
Like
you look
that's your minimum cap. Like that's their minimum cap typically.
most manufacturers.
Yeah, that's like your minimum order requirement. It has to be at least 5,000 or more. So for the company, right? Like it's not even worth their time to run the entire production line if you're not meeting those metrics.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess like the bulk of it is going to figuring out what your fit is. Once you figure out the product fit, what do you do? Like what's like to kind of get the ball rolling.
I mean, once you figure out that people actually like the product, and you figure out the angle and the way you want to position the product, then it's really just about scaling that specific angle, right? But what happens is, at a certain level of scale, your return on ad spend or your ROI starts to really go down at a certain level of scale.
It pivots, it changes. It's like it's never really constant, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like as a successful founder, these are important tips from anybody that's listening to this. If they want to start a similar path,
Yeah.
That's why we thought it'd be super interesting and awesome to have you on because I feel
For
like that'd be
sure.
a good experience.
What are
Yeah.
some other like tips, tricks, of the industry or things that, I mean, I like what you said before where like I wish venture hustles existed 2018, right? So I would definitely want to kind of give you the opportunity to like go over some of those tips and tricks that you wish you could have heard, other than just like your business model and plan and steps kind of thing.
I guess so. What would be your tips and tricks?
Like increase cart value. Like that's huge for
Increase what?
a cart value.
Oh, cart value. Okay.
Yeah, for physical products business, right? Like one big mistake that I made was I kept trying to push Quantum Mind so hard. And I realized, like, wait a second, why don't I just add another product as an upsell? And that just increased my cart value. And then my return on ad spend went way up, right?
Okay.
If you have an existing customer base, I think the other thing is live by this equation is scale equals acquisition plus LTV, right? It took me 2.5 years to just get a subscription function onto my website because the coding side of it was going to take a few hours and me actually finding someone to code it. And when I added it, I'm like, oh my God, I am such an idiot. I could have been having like $3,000 to $4,000 a day recurring at this point, if not more, if I just did it before.
Wow.
So that's 1.5 million recurring that I just didn't do because I was lazy. So, you know.
I mean, you live and learn.
Yeah.
These are the experiences.
Yeah.
You know how, like you said, I made a lot of mistakes, or just like I through a lot of failures, you kind of gain success.
Absolutely.
That's part of the process,
Right.
man. Every single entrepreneur, founder, I mean, you're never going to be successful. This is not an overnight success. You're not winning a lottery here.
Yeah.
That's part of the process, you know? And you had a very rough beginning, which shaped the outcome of who you are today,
Right.
which is props, man. Congrats.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Question.
Jack's excited.
You enjoy my questions today?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We have been very at Final Few Productions. Like we there's so many different things that we offer as to our customers. And when it comes to like custom software tech, we build games, we build apps, we build like platforms like these that you mentioned. And now blockchain, but we've been experimenting a lot heavy on a lot of different ad platforms ourselves, right? We're doing a lot of Meta, and we did LinkedIn, and we're kind of experimenting a lot of different things outside of the realm of the existing business model. What would you say? What platforms are really good for you right now? So,
yeah, a good question. So TikTok has been pretty good.
Okay.
The thing is, I think TikTok is trying to go public now.
Yeah.
So they're getting really tight with their regulations, but TikTok's been pretty good. Facebook has been pretty consistent for us.
Okay.
I mean, Google Ads we run a good deal as well.
So your primary platforms for digital marketing are Google Ads, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah.
And you like these?
Yeah, I mean,
They get the job done.
Yeah, they get
In terms of ROI,
Yeah.
right? Like what would be the most effective, you'd say, because this would directly correlate with your industry. That's why it's a hot tip.
Yeah,
it's
a great point. So I would say if you want a more consistent ROAS, you're looking at Facebook.
Okay.
Right. If you want to find that viral video, TikTok. Right. You can find that 4.0 ROAS ad that you can scale to the moon, but it just requires a lot of trial and error. The thing is
on TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With TikTok, it's also creative fatigue happens very quickly.
Yeah.
The ad does. So.
Are you now? How many people you got have on your team?
So it's
a good question.
Big international team.
Nice.
So we have 22.
Nice.
22 on our
That's
team.
cool.
Where do you have another office somewhere? Like I thought I saw that. No, or just
Home
like
office.
people remote.
Yeah, everyone's remote.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Wow. How's that experience been?
So I don't have a reference point because we've always been
Remote.
Okay.
You
So
know?
you don't have like an in-person.
Well, it's
office.
enjoyable. Like obviously, it's working.
Yeah, it's working.
Wow, that's cool.
Team PH, that's what we call them. My Filipino team. It's
Okay, so cool.
yeah, it's like a family.
Yes.
I'm going to the
yeah.
Philippines actually in October to meet all
Are
of
you gonna
them.
meet some of these people?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's cool.
So I'm excited for that. Yeah,
That's cool.
That's awesome, man.
Wow.
Cool.
How did you come up with the So you have like the flagship, right? And can you repeat the name? Because I want to say, but I don't want to butcher it.
Quantum Mind.
Oh, Quantum Mind.
Yep.
Okay.
What's
So-
the name of the supplement?
Yeah.
The name of the brand?
No, the supplement, Quantum Mind.
Yep.
So how I know you went through the ingredients before, all the different ingredients. When you're creating it, like how do you come to a place where it's like, okay, we're gonna take 10 milligrams of X, 8 milligrams of Y. Like what goes into actually creating the product? Is it trial and error? I mean, do you have a goal in mind? Like
Jack's like a Heisenberg, huh? Like,
Yeah.
This guy's got all these like questions.
I love it.
you know what it is? Because like I mentioned, I used to be work at a manufacturing company for like e-liquid and
interesting.
for CBD products back in like 2016. So I have, let's say, some sort of an idea, and we should do a lot of private labeling.
Yeah.
So I would be there, and I'm making some of the formulas based on consistency.
Yeah, they were like actually mixing the liquids.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yep.
I actually scratched because I'm just thinking to myself, like, what's your process look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a question that I have fun answering.
Okay.
I'm not going to give the secret sauce.
No.
No. Just, I guess more mindset stuff would be great.
I would say top down as opposed to bottom up, meaning customer first
Okay.
before formulation.
Okay.
So it's a science and an art, not just a science, not just an art.
Okay.
Too many formulators look at it as just a science.
Okay.
Cool. All the literature says these ingredients would fit together. Our neuroscientist consultant, we have a neuroscientist advisor, rather, I should say.
Right.
His formulations are very different than mine, right? His are going to be much better from a science-based, right? A textbook-based approach, right? But then there's the actual art of it. Like, what will the customer actually feel and experience? And even if the literature says one thing, you know,
what's the reality say?
What's the reality, right? So that's the first thing is customer first. Like when you're making a formulation, think of the customer, not the formulation, right? Then once you understand exactly what the customer wants and needs, then it's about filling the gaps in with the ingredients, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's a huge philosophy for me, and I got that from Steve Jobs, right? Whereas
That's awesome.
Bill Gates was very, tech first,
Right.
Steve Jobs was very customer first,
Right.
And just like the artistry, the way he thought was like he looked out into nature and saw that most surfaces in nature are round. So he before the Windows computers Microsoft computers were completely boxy.
Right.
The Macs were round and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got
The details are just insane.
It's incredible. So
Wow.
it's an art. So there's that. The other thing is always have a specific function for your supplement.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a end goal kind of thing. Like, what is it supposed to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I'll give an example. Like for me, I was very into metabolic function, right? Metabolism, right?
Okay.
The more muscle you build, the faster your metabolism will be, right?
Okay.
And so I said, and I can also think very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So my theory was that if I made a nootropic based on this premise of metabolic function, that it would work, and it
Okay.
did.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is like people look for effects, but I think I look for function.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I mean, you sound like a really intelligent guy that like clearly knows what you're talking about. You'd want somebody like that in the position specifically selling products like this anyway.
For sure.
Not the other way around,
I'd
right?
say 100%.
It's fun. I have a lot of fun with it. So
That's the most important part. We were just talking
Yeah.
about that before.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, like it's like build a good team and you just have fun. The rest will kind of fall into place,
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have fun doing this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we have a blast. I mean, that's the thing, right? We have our own different stress points, and like this is what we do is a very, very high stress job.
Yeah.
And like I'm not talking about the podcast, I'm talking about our day jobs and the
Yeah.
business that we're running and everything else. It's not an easy thing by any means.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm like every single day I'm super hype. I love what I do.
Yeah.
And hopefully Jack can say the same.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
It's never dull. Meet new people, experience new things. Then,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you can share these same feelings. Is like being able to, like your customer experiences the product that you sold them. In our case that we built, and it's like yes, like
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Thank you. Changed my life. You changed my business. Like it's a great feeling. What I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I'm kind of circling back and trying to land this ship a little bit.
Well, is there anything that like you think that we haven't covered that you'd want to discuss a little bit briefly?
I want to give some advice to some founders,
Love that.
for
Rip it.
sure. Because
Hell yeah.
this year I got into business coaching myself this year, just a few people, because last year I almost ended up bankrupt.
Oh wow.
As we were scaling, grew a little too quickly. I didn't know how to handle it. The first time I ever did this, the explosive scaling growth thing, right? So I would say just keep going. Even if it feels like the problem can't be solved, it absolutely can be solved. Every problem has a solution.
Yeah.
There is capital everywhere. Don't sell out. Think long-term and short-term. Don't think long-term or short-term.
That's a good one.
You know, health first. Like, make sure you keep your mental and physical health as good as possible.
Yeah.
Business will always be there.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I just want to give those pieces of advice, because my heart goes out to all of those founders who are struggling and in that spot.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's scary.
It definitely can be. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good perspective. Like, you know, definitely comparing, you know, some of the things that you went through recent and, you know, back in time. It's everything. Everything's a test in life, man.
Yeah.
It's a constant test. You're always being tested in one way or another.
That's for sure.
There's no perfect way to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I guess as we wrap up here, would you mind briefly going over your site, your Instagram, social media handles?
What do you want?
We'll
Anything you want to plug? Anything you want people to kind of like? Because I think a lot of the people are definitely around the demo, like that listen and watch to some of their stuff, like to kind of like similar to what, you know, you're talking about. A lot of college going kids, a lot of, you know.
I mean, if you're a founder and you're looking for more energy, don't want to do, you know, Adderall or anything prescribing, this could potentially be like a really good solution for you. So how would someone go ahead and find out more? And then if they would like to purchase, like, how would that happen?
Yeah. And in fact, I could make a discount code. We'll call it Venture Hustle 30 for our product. 30% off anyone who gets it. Yeah, okay. I'll have my team do that. But Evolvere.co, co, not com, Evolvere.co. And then find us on Instagram, Evolvere.co. You know, my Instagram also is Neal Thakkar Official.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you're looking.
So you're primarily on Instagram, Neal Thakkar Official.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. That's your handle. Yep. And the name of the brand is Evolvere.
That's correct.
Cool. Yeah. Well, any final thoughts, Mr. Jack?
I think I appreciate you coming down. Yeah, it's been very insightful. It was really nice speaking with you. I'd be lying if I said I'm not enticed by what you're doing and the product itself.
Neal brought some samples.
He most definitely did.
Yeah,
appreciate that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, I wish you all the best, and you know, I look forward to watching like you and like your company grow. You know, and so we'll definitely be keeping in touch for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I think it's super cool seeing what you're doing, and appreciate you coming down. I know it was a long trip out here.
I had a good time. Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you guys, and of course, you know, I share the same sentiment. I'm excited to see where this podcast goes and everything you guys are doing as well.
You're etched down in history as one of the first 5 guests, I think.
Robbie, and then definitely one of them, like the first like health fitness oriented.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
The first. Yeah,
for sure.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're kind of keeping it fresh. We had like a singer, musician, record label CEO, like a few weeks ago. Her name was Alora. Then we had like a scientist that kind of did something similar along the lines of what you did, but like way like crazy intense, like
way. Yeah, I mean,
it's
similar,
like had to do
but
with
like
cutting
different.
into your heart.
Oh,
it was
man.
like EPR.
It was like
insane.
he's creating something, a different approach to CPR.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was kind of crazy.
Wow.
And then we have Mr. Neal, and that this is very, very interesting. So we appreciate you sharing your story, Neal.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Jack. You want to sign us off?
So you know, as always, for those listening, we appreciate you. You can find us on all of the podcast platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and you know, as always, no matter where you are, hoping you enjoy the day and night, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.